call comes at 3 a.m., and you already know what it means before you answer. You've been waiting for this moment for 2 years. 2 years of running errands, moving small packages, memorizing faces and license plates, proving yourself to men who don't trust easily and forget nothing. The voice on the other end belongs to Rodrigo, and he doesn't use your name. He never does. He says only, "Tomorrow, Tijuana, be ready." Then the line goes dead, and you sit in the dark of your apartment, your phone warm in your hand, your chest doing something complicated between terror and relief. Tomorrow comes fast. You cross into Tijuana by foot, through the tourist turnstile, carrying nothing but a backpack with a change of clothes and a burner phone preloaded with one number. The city wraps around you immediately. The noise, the diesel exhaust, the vendors calling out in rhythms you know by heart, because your mother's city sounds exactly like this. You take a bus to a neighborhood you've never visited and wait at a corner taqueria, eating slowly, watching the street. 40 minutes later, a man you don't recognize sits across from you and slides a phone under the table with his foot. You finish your tacos. You leave without looking at him. The phone has an address and a time. The warehouse is on the southern edge of the city, unremarkable in the way that only carefully unremarkable things can be. Inside, you meet the operation for the first time at its true scale, and the scale recalibrates something in your brain permanently. There are vehicles, 3 of them, modified cargo vans with false floors, so precisely engineered they would pass a visual inspection by someone who knew what to look for. There are men moving with the focused efficiency of people who have done this before and understand the cost of improvisation. And there is the product itself, vacuum-sealed in bricks the color of pale sand, stacked in formation like something architectural. Someone tells you the street value, and the number is so large it briefly stops making sense. The way a number with too many zeros ceases to be a number and becomes instead a kind of weather. $1 billion. You are 26 years old. You grew up sharing a bedroom with 2 brothers in a house where the heat got cut off twice. You remind yourself of this not because it justifies anything, but because it explains the particular texture of your yes. The way agreement can feel like inevitability when you've been moving towards something for long enough that turning back would require more imagination than moving forward. Your role is simple on paper. You drive the second van, you maintain exactly 4 car lengths behind the first, exactly 2 in front of the third. You do not speed. You do not change lanes unnecessarily. You are, for all visible purposes, nobody. The crossing is scheduled for early morning, that gray light hour when the border lanes are staffed by agents running on the last vapor of a night shift. You've been told which lane. You've been told what to say. You've been told there are people on the other side who have been told things too, and you understand, without being told, that those people have been paid in a currency more reliable than money. The currency of what happens when you don't cooperate. You pull into the lane, and the wait begins. This is the part no one prepares you for. The waiting. Your hands are steady on the wheel, but the inside of your body is a different geography entirely. Everything accelerated, your heartbeat registering every second with a physical insistence that makes thinking difficult. You watch the van ahead of you move up 1 car length, then another. You breathe through your nose. You think about your mother. And then you stop thinking about your mother because she cannot exist in this vehicle with you right now. Because bringing her face into this space would be a cruelty you cannot afford. The agent at the booth is a woman in her 40s with the flat expression of someone who has processed 10,000 faces this month. She looks at your passport. She looks at you. She asks where you're headed, and you tell her San Diego, visiting a friend, back by Sunday. Your voice is someone else's voice, calm, faintly tired, vaguely bored. She holds the passport for 3 seconds longer than feels normal, and in those 3 seconds, you age considerably. Then she hands it back and waves you through, and you drive. You don't exhale for another mile. The handoff happens in a strip mall parking lot in Chula Vista, the kind of place that exists in American cities as a kind of civic camouflage, a nail salon, a payday loan office, a shuttered mattress store. The vans pull around back. Men you've never met arrive in different vehicles, and the cargo moves from one set of hands to another with the procedural calm of a loading dock. You stand to the side. You watch. You are aware that you are now on the wrong side of a line that doesn't move, that this morning has permanently altered the geography of your life. Rodrigo appears for the first time in person. He's smaller than you imagined, compact, precise in his movements, wearing clothes that cost more than your rent without advertising it. He shakes your hand and looks at you with eyes that are genuinely evaluating, not performing evaluation. He says you did well. He says there's more work if you want it. He says the word want the way people say it when they mean something closer to will. You say yes again, and this time the yes is faster, which is its own kind of information about who you're becoming. 3 weeks pass, then 6. You make 4 more crossings, each one different in its details. Different lanes, different times, different vehicles, but identical in its essential emotional structure. The long approach, the waiting, the agent's face, the crossing, the exhale, the parking lot. You become competent at this, in the way people become competent at anything when the stakes are high enough. You stop shaking, you start reading the agents better, learning which micro-expressions mean routine and which mean attention. You develop the practiced neutrality of someone who has made peace with what they're doing, and you are aware enough to know that this peace is not actually peace. It is what peace looks like from the outside when the inside is a conversation you keep postponing. The money is real, undeniable and physical in the way that abstract things sometimes aren't. You send some home. You tell your mother you got a promotion at the logistics company. She asks if you're eating enough. You say yes. This lie is the one that costs you the most, because she believes it without question, because she has no framework for doubting you, and her trust sits in your chest like something you've borrowed and can't return. Then comes the Tuesday when everything changes its shape. You're 2 lanes over from your designated position at the crossing, a last-minute change relayed through the burner, when you see the first van get pulled. Not waved to the secondary inspection area, which is the normal version of bad. Actually pulled, surrounded, agents converging from positions that were clearly prearranged. You understand in the way your body understands things, before your mind catches up, that this was not random. Someone talked, or someone was watched for long enough, or the people who were supposed to be paid decided the math had changed. You pull out of the lane. You circle back into Mexico without crossing. You drive for 40 minutes to a location you've memorized for exactly this kind of contingency, park the van, and walk away from it without looking back. The calls start immediately. Rodrigo's people locating everyone, accounting for everyone, figuring out the shape of what happened. The driver of the first van is in federal custody. The driver of the third is unreachable. You sit in a motel room in Tijuana watching your burner phone and understanding that the line you crossed this morning isn't the border. It's the line between being someone who participates in this and being someone who can be identified as participating in this, which are different levels of exposure with different sets of consequences. You think about walking away. You construct the scenario with some care. Disappearing, starting somewhere new, using the money you've already made to become someone with a different name in a different city. The fantasy has a particular texture, almost convincing, but you've been in the room now. You know the faces. You know the roots and the timing and the names of the people on the other side who've been told things. And you know enough about this world to know that what you know is itself a liability, that the men who employ you have a professional interest in managing liabilities, that disappearing is a solution available only to people whose disappearance would not create problems. So, you sit with it. The motel television shows an American news channel with a chyron about a major drug interdiction at the San Diego border crossing. The anchor uses the word significant. They show footage of agents in tactical gear and packages arranged for the camera. The street value they cite is wrong, substantially low, which tells you they didn't get everything, which tells you the operation is not destroyed, which tells you the call will come again. Your phone vibrates. You look at it for a long time before you pick it up.